Okay, so I want to talk to you today about a topic that comes up a lot. Do you feel like you're being asked the same questions over and over again by your customers? Things like, when do classes start back? What uniform's my child meant to wear? When are the holidays? When's the show? Or whatever these questions might be. So it can feel like a lot of the time we're being asked the same questions, which sometimes for us as dance school owners, we can't, it's hard to understand why when they're giving all this amazing information. But what we need to stop and think about and consider is what this actually means. What is this telling us? If we're being asked the same questions on repeat, what does this mean for our customers? And I think, in my opinion, and my take on this anyway, is that especially now in 2026, parents are juggling a lot. And it can at times be very overwhelming. Juggling school, clubs, school trips, packed lunches, parties, PTA donations, class WhatsApp groups, all the other WhatsApp groups, just trying to be a good parent. And then juggling all the other personal things that are going on alongside that, all the other clubs these children are doing, as well as your dance classes as well. There is a lot going on, and I know I definitely feel that as a mum myself with my boys. It's a lot. It's a lot. But we have to remember that there's just so much going on. So we need to have a little think about what we can do as dance school owners to make this better. If you feel like you're being asked the same thing over and over again, even though you feel like everyone's got the information, and I think this is an opportunity for us as the dance school owner to really develop and work on creating and developing clearer systems that work for us as a dance school owner, but also for our customers. Because if we can do that, we're making it easier for everybody. We're making it easier for a customer who is perhaps just feeling overwhelmed with juggling the day to day. But also, in turn, if we're making it easier for them, we will eventually be making it easier for us because ultimately, those questions that are on repeat will begin to slow down to focus on other areas in your dance school. Let's say the joy of teaching and dance. So, what sorts of things could we do to make things easier for our parents? I've got a couple of tips for you today, and these are things that I do in my own dance school as well. It's something that's really important. So we sometimes just need to consider how we share that information, because if you're sending that all out in one go with every single final detail, and let's say there's a lot of text to get through, that can take a long time for the reader to digest and to process and then to work into the calendar and the diary and work out the schedule and juggling the children. And I've got to get Flossie to football and Molly to rugby and Daisy to to ballet. And it can be a lot. But sometimes when there's too much information coming at once, it's too much to process. And we can almost have put it to the bottom of the pot. And I know I am guilty of this. If I know I've got a big old whopper email, let's say from school to get through, I'll wait until I've got a bit of time to digest that properly. So we've got two ways we can sort of deal with that. Number one is if you do feel like you need to send out lots of information in one go, make sure you're giving your customers time to digest that information with a clear deadline. And perhaps over that period of time, so not expect them to get back to you within a couple of days. Let's say you're giving them 2 weeks, 10 days to get back to you. Within that time, just sending out very short, gentle reminders that you will need them to get back to you on that email by a certain deadline. That is one way of helping with that. The other thing you can do is, depending on what it is that you're sending out, have a look at your calendar within the dance school and what else is going on, and when those busy periods are. If you have lots of communication that you've got to send out, you've got lots of things coming up and lots of things that you're planning and you need answers. Maybe look at how and when is the best time in your calendar to send that information, in relation to everything else that's going on in your dance school. And is there a way you can segment that information so that you don't need everything to be read and digested at once, but you could just do it in smaller sections, just do one bit at a time, just so that people have got a bit more time to just process and digest and get themselves organized. That could be another nice way of doing it. The other thing is when you're sending out these emails, just you can still be polite, you can still have your friendly tone and your professional tone, but send out the information that they need to know and try and be as concise as possible so they can just get on and do it and action it. how can you consolidate your communication just to keep it simple? And within those emails that you're sending out, think about the questions that you're asking. Just get them to do just one thing. All right. If you've got lots of things to do, again, it might slow you down. If you're being asked the same questions over and over again, is there somewhere where you can keep a bank of what these questions are? So, you frequently asked questions. So, let's say term dates is always a good one, isn't it? When do classes start back? What does my child need to wear? Can I watch the classes? How much do classes cost? Is there parking? How do I get there? How do I know when my child's ready for an exam? All of those sorts of questions. Can you put those into a frequently asked questions segment? Can you contain that on on your website? Can you create a document that you can attach and share in an email and direct your families to that? Just easily digestible, answers to questions, copy and paste into an email or attach to an email, pop it on your website, share it occasionally on your socials or Facebook group. Can you share it on there as well? Those frequently asked questions, and just keep a bank of those as well, because that's always a really good way of being able to share the information quickly and without having to take up too much of your time, and parents can access that information as quickly as possible. The things we can do, especially for your families who are new to joining your school, what information are you sharing with them when they join? Have you got a short welcome pack that you can send them that will answer initial questions and helps us manage those expectations from the outset? That's always another really nice way just to sort of set the right tone and get off to a really sort of smooth start in terms of managing those questions from your customers as well. Other things you can do, really clean, clear, simple, easy to read visuals as well. They're always really nice to have, especially on your socials or to send out with your emails as well. It's always a really good one to do. Another thing you can do is if you're using a class management software, most of these products now have a customer app attached to the platforms. These are also really, really great because it gives your customers like a central point where they can log in, check their schedules, check the timetable, check the term dates, check their payments, make payments as well. All of those nitty gritty sort of admin back end type tasks that you need to keep on top of, if they can check from a sort of a central place independently of you, that's also a really good and handy way of enabling them to be able to check what is in this check and answer those questions without taking up too much of your time as well. And then the other thing that we can do, which is more of a sort of a longer term, I guess, process, but every time you run, let's say, an event within your dance school, or every time you start a new term or set up a new batch of classes or welcome a new group of children into a class, these always provide you opportunities for reflection as well. And when we reflect on what it is that we're doing, it helps us to refine and improve and make our systems and our processes better. So, for example, I'll give you an example of my own dance school show, which I've been doing for a very long time now. So, my dance school's 20 years old, and we've just had our 20th anniversary production. Every time I've done a show, I've always looked at the communication element. And there are two things in particular that I look at. How simple can I make it for my dance families? So that's number one. How simple can I make it? Because the more simple it is, the easier it is for them to action what it is I need them to action. When we're dealing with a large volume of students and customers with tight deadlines, let's say costume orders, show sign up forms, licensing, and so on, the simpler the better. Okay. And then the second thing I always look at, and this is probably my ultimate tip, is I want to ensure that I have as like no confusion, no space for any confusion. So really thinking about how my communication will be interpreted by the reader, what questions may come out of that email that I will send. I think that is really, really important because what I don't want to do is I don't want to create more work once I've sent out what it is that I've sent out. I want to be able to get on to the next task and keep moving my project forwards, let's say the show. So think about what might you be left open to if you've not addressed it. And I think that's always a really good one to look at. And I remember when I did my very, very first show years ago, I used to get lots of questions that would come back after I send out those initial emails. This was my first show. I didn't know what was going to happen. So each time I've done it, I've sort of known what those questions might be. So how do I address that immediately so that doesn't become something or doesn't become, an area that might cause confusion when, questions might crop up that are unnecessary, and just thinking about how you manage those sorts of things. But ultimately, if we can really get on top of our communication with our customers and not feel frustrated when we're being asked questions or, the repetitive ones, but instead stop and ask ourselves about why we're being asked those questions, it's a really, really good place to start. Because if you can address that and improve what it is that you're doing in that respect, ultimately, you will be able to operate more efficiently with your customers who will be happier because they know what they're doing and what they need to do and where they've got to be and what they've got to do. You will feel happier because your time will be filled less and less with answering, let's say, repetitive questions, and instead focusing on things such as the creative side or your class plans or whatever the next project is that you're, bringing together. And that in turn will lead to less stress. So, yeah, and I guess happier way to operate your dance school as well. There's loads more I could talk about with this, but I thought this would be a really, really good place to start because life is busy, life is hectic and stressful at times. Um, and I think that the easier we can make things for our customers, the better it will be for all of us as well. Anyway, yeah, as I said, there's lots more I could talk about with this. So if you'd like to have a chat, let me know. Do reach out. If there's anything in particular, any questions that you find you're asked over and over again, and you need a hand with how to sort of overcome that hurdle, then let me know. I've also got a free download for you, which is my checklist for parent communication or customer communication. So if you would like me to send that over to you, then do let me know. Do get in touch if you want to sign up for a bit more of a chat, and I can help you really look at how you can run your dance school with as efficiency as possible, free up some time, less stress, and happy dance families, customers, and parents as well. All right, then, take care and have a great day.